Hey, good day to you. Welcome to the May edition of a new series. I know this has been a period of a lot of challenges for all of us, but there's always hope at the end of the tunnel. And therefore, I would like to start this month's edition with a very famous statement from General Douglas MacArthur, who was responsible for the Pacific Command during the World War II, and he personally was a person who took over presided over the surrender of Japan. So he came up with this statement saying that there is no security on earth, but there is only opportunity. And therefore, one of the ways we can actually come out of the gloom and the negative things that surround us during the COVID crisis is to just look at the opportunity around us, and also to see the positives that are happening around the world. And A New series, as you all know, is basically a collation of all positive news that happens around the world with a specific focus on its benefits to India. So this week on the international sections, we start off with our growing cooperation with Japan. We all know that Japan is already part of the Quad initiative along with US, Australia, India and Japan. And what you also see is that Japan has extended a 265 crore grant to Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now, why is this significant? During the World War II, Japan had actually occupied Andaman and Nicobar Island, and in fact, our Azad Hind was actually there was a substantial force of the great martyr Subhash Chandra Bose working out of there, Andaman Islands, and therefore, Japan extending that is kind of a very unique time in history because of their past connect, which was not which is not remembered very well in the islands, but this time it comes with a very strategic purpose. So if you notice that Andaman and Nicobar Islands are located in a very strategic position because they are very close to the Malacca Straits, which actually is the bottleneck for China for all its trade and oil movement, and the Indira Point, which is the southernmost part of the Nicobar Islands, is very close to Nicobar and also just on the mouth of the Malacca Straits, and therefore increasing the funding there is going to strengthen the Quad initiative, and it's obviously visible. It's disguised as a civil amenity grant, but actually it has got a lot of strategic importance. Japan has also extending its soft loans for funding of Delhi and Bangalore Metro. The works on most of the infrastructure projects, including metros, are going at a very brisk pace during this COVID lockdown. In fact, all the government agencies are utilizing this lockdown in a very positive way, because usually when huge infrastructure work like metro happens, there's disruption to traffic, there's a lot of digging going on, and during lockdowns, these are the best opportune times to do that. The second major international news of significance to India is that OPEC share in Indian oil imports have fallen to historic lows. Now, we know in the recent past, the Gulf countries have come to the support of India much greater than our neighbors, because our import from Gulf region is just next to China, and we are a substantial import. And keeping in mind that the consumption in Europe and US is US has almost stopped importing oil because they are quite self-sufficient with the oil that they have discovered from the shale gas. On the contrary, they are also exporting, so which means that leaves them a market of just Europe, India, Southeast Asia and China. And that was also, though it was advantageous to OPEC countries, it was also a disadvantage for India because we started losing our leveraging possibilities, and therefore India consciously started increasing its oil imports from US sometime back, because our trade deficit with US was substantially higher, and this was one of the very effective ways to bridge the trade deficits. That was one. And then India started looking for alternate consignments, initially from Venezuela, but after the oil embargo started in Venezuela and Iran was once again a traditional ally of India for oil imports. The Indian government started going out and started looking up for new opportunities for import from the Caribbean islands. So the first cargo from Guyana, French Guyana, has already landed up in Mundra port. And similarly, the government of India has also started an initiative to start importing gas and machinery trade with Russia from Vladivostok port. Now, Vladivostok port is very close to Japan, and it's on the southeasternmost tip of Russia. In fact, there's a very famous Trans-Siberian Railway which starts in Moscow and ends in Vladivostok. It travels across time zones, but keeping that apart, I think what's very significant is we are trying to find a substitute to our energy needs with respect to trade routes. So initially all the oil to India was basically coming from the western side, which is the Gulf, and then we also need to understand that China has already opened a small naval base in the in the western in the Arabian Peninsula, and there in the Arabian just at the edge of the Horn of the Arabia, and therefore there's a possibility that they kind of block the road. And it is very important from an Indian perspective to find an alternate route to our gas and energy supply, and opening up this Vladivostok route is something very, very important to us, and it is expected that we'll be able to transit the goods in 24 hours. That's the plan. Vladivostok to any one of the eastern ports, the idea is to transport the goods in 24 hours. It's a very tough ask, but that's another very interesting initiative. Coming to the national news, there is a very big blockbuster initiative that has happened, which is basically the Mines and Minerals Development Regulation Amendment, MMRDA Bill 2021. Now, this is going to liberate the mining industries like that's never happened before. Why is it very, very significant? Because India is one country which is completely underexplored and underperforming with respect to attracting investment in mines. To give you a few pointers, India has got the 4th largest reserve of coal, but we still import coal. We have around 500 million tons of gold, but we still import 983 tons of gold every year. Our potential in mine as a percentage of GDP in mining is similar to South Africa, whereas in South Africa the percentage of mining to GDP is 7.5%, and in Australia it's 7%, whereas in India it's only 1.75. So we have very similar size with respect to potential, but the contribution of mining to the GDP is just very abysmal. And all these things have been happening because we were not very industry friendly with respect to mining. We had a lot of restrictions in the existing mining laws, which are all the legacy issues which just got piled up over a period of time. So this particular bill is expected to liberate the mining industry. So what are the major differences that this bill has brought? The first one is it has allowed private entities to be engaged in mineral exploration work. So that's a very positive thing. We all know private sector also has this ability to raise capital, but more importantly become very efficient with capital. Today the world is completely integrated, and efficiency in use of cash and resources is very, very critical to a successful and continued operations of these things. So allowing private sector in mineral exploration is one positive thing. The second very significant thing is the bill very clearly defines mines as a legal entity rather than a physical entity. What does this nitty-gritty mean? Basically, mine licenses in case of transfer of license expired in 2 years earlier because it was treated as a physical entity. Now that it is treated as a legal entity, the mine license is valid till the duration of the lease. So because it had a restrictive clause by being treated as a physical entity, the moment the transfer took place in 2 years time, the lease expired, and therefore people will had to go back and go through greasing the palms, and then the whole inefficiency set in. So to make you understand the gravity of the situation, in about just next 10 years, some 900 mines were going to expire. And this would have caused a huge disruption to our economy. So just changing the status brings a lot